though, and I want to get your opinion on this, boys, because I've got a pretty strong one. It said here that how a dodgy foul deadline day move proved Chelsea are the worst run club in Britain. This was in the Daily Mail Plus by Ian Herbert, stating that because they missed out on Osimhen, looking at all the other elements of their club, that Chelsea are the worst run club in Britain. Surely, Mo, that is an absolute exaggeration of the situation.
No, it's not. They gambled with I think they gambled with the chance of top four and making money. To be honest with you, I think they left it to the last minute with Osimhen. He was there. They just gambled with it. And for them to not have a shirt sponsor is absolutely horrific for them as a club, to be honest. I don't know how they can afford that. I don't know the financials of the club. But in terms of transfers, I still think that Chelsea, there has to be two guys running the transfers. One is an idiot and one is a genius. There has to be two guys.
Stanley and Stewart. Which one's the idiot? Which one's the genius?
One of them is an idiot, bro. It cannot just you leave Osimhen to the last minute with the guy is begging you to come. And if Osimhen went to Chelsea, I'll put my 10 fingers down saying they will get top four. And
Same.
I bet like 95% of the people would have said that. But they left it to the last hour of the window just to miss on Osimhen because they didn't want to budge in terms of the wages. And I get that guy is an idiot. And that is the same guy that actually got Jadon Sancho. But the other guy that got the Tosin deal, that got the Neto deal, is a different guy. There has to be something wrong with Chelsea. There has to be so many voices at Chelsea.
So you agree with him that Chelsea are the worst run club in the Premier League?
I actually think they are actually very, very bad run in terms of like the decisions at the club, because I disagree with the way Chelsea are running things in terms of like having two models. One is flip for profit and one for the team, because sometimes that might not work. They actually basically gambling with the club's future. They are gambling with the club's future.
You're
I
just
think
jealous
Osimhen
because
deal was
Caicedo rejected you, Mo.
Why?
Chelsea are not the worst run club in the Premier League. They're not.
There's always Man United. You can actually fall to Man United all the time.
Chill, Mo. First of all, Tottenham Hotspur exists. That is by far the worst run club in the Premier League.
You can't say that, you're wrong, because you had Ange Postecoglou. That's a good one.
Stop it. Everton also exists, that have been signing duds from the top four clubs for the last 10 years. Everton are worse run than Chelsea by far. Spurs are worse run than Chelsea by far. There's an argument to be made. With Ineos, we haven't seen yet, but you can make the argument that Manchester United...
Liverpool as well. Would you say Liverpool, having given contracts?
If you let me speak, it will be nice. See how I didn't interrupt you once? But you're not a financial expert, so let me speak. Anyway.
It's not a financial decision.
As I was saying, I think Liverpool are worse run than Chelsea as well. I think Liverpool this summer have proven to be worse run than Chelsea. Leaving player contracts unsigned, not having any ambition, not wanting to win. So I wouldn't say Chelsea are the worst run club in the league. I think the biggest question with Chelsea is their sustainability. Sustainability is the biggest question in Chelsea. But if I were to say genuinely who are the two worst run clubs in the league, for me, it's Spurs and Everton shaking hands. Those are the two worst run clubs in the league for me.
Yeah, that's where I agree. Listen, I understand where you're coming from, Mo, that it is a little bit of a gamble. And the biggest reason it's a gamble is they can't even sell it for another 7 years. So if they do, it's been 3 years. Well, it's been 2 years, so 8 years, sorry. And like, if it goes wrong, they could find themselves in trouble. The difference is when you're the size of Chelsea, the way you would probably resolve the situation is selling a lot of the more expensive players again, having 2 or 3 years of not spending too much, tread water. With the size of your fan base, you could then go again. I think. I think that you could strip back enough, sell more assets, and solve the problem. I can't imagine them ever letting Chelsea go into administration or going out of business.
Do you think they can be a Leeds? You're old enough. You're old enough.
I'm old enough. Do you know why I don't think they can be a Leeds United? Chelsea have too big a global fan base. They have too much, even to a point where like all those clubs that kind of went out of business or nearly went out of business, most of them raised loads of money from their fans, where fans put in as much as they could. And Leeds United, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, they they're one of those clubs where they have a very good sized stadium. They've got a very good following in their city. It's one of those cities where nearly everybody in Leeds, barring a handful, I know a few lads from Leeds that used to be in Team GB that don't support Leeds United, but the vast majority do. You start going out of Leeds, you start going internationally, they don't really have a massive fan base. They'll have some international fans, of course, but nothing like anybody else. If Chelsea were at a point where they could literally go into administration bankruptcy, I'm going to be really basic when I say this, but if Chelsea did a GoFundMe and got 50p off all of their global fans, they'd raise £200 or £300 million. So I don't personally see it going that far. It's fun to banter it. It's fun to have a laugh. I don't see it going that far. Equally, I agree. The likes of Everton, right? These are the clubs who are the worst run. And interestingly, you look at teams like Nottingham Forest, who have had their point deductions. Yes, they survived, but they are again sailing very close to the PSR win. I understand doing everything possible to stay in the Premier League and try and get better, but I never think you should do that at the potential behest of your club financially forever. You look at Brighton. I knew Brighton would do what they've done this season. And that's as their revenue grows and grows and grows and grows and comes more sustainable, they'll start to invest more, not just in transfer fees, but in the wages of players and in the infrastructure of their club. The worst thing you can do is go, do you know what? Raise 200 million in sales, got another year of TV money. Let's spend 200 million on players and whack the wage bill through the roof, which we can only afford to maintain if we continue to sell players at high prices and stay in the Premier League. Because if it goes wrong in 1 year and you get relegated, you might be spending 10 years catching up. You have to be prudent. So I kind of feel that the way the Nottingham Forests and the Evertons have gone about it is a much bigger gamble. A much bigger gamble. Spurs are the other end of the spectrum. Spurs, revenue-wise, I would say pound for pound, size of their fan base, are the best run club financially in the country from a business perspective only, because they're like 7th or 8th in the world of most revenue. But when you consider the size of the clubs around them, they're nowhere near as big. However, when it comes to having the right ethos and spending that money correctly, you could argue they're worse than the Glazers, because at least the Glazers, even in the last 10 years, have won a major European trophy, 2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, Community Shield. At least they've been awful. So I would disagree with the article that Chelsea are the worst run club in Britain. I think that's a little bit.
So out of everyone on the stream right now, only Mo thinks they're the worst run club. Fair enough. Okay, the both of us disagree. I thought I'm supposed to be the one with the Chelsea agenda.
For the size of the club,
Everton has 9 league titles.
Bro, and Leeds have a league.
Everton have more league titles than Chelsea.
Yeah, but that's not the point. You get my point then. You think Everton are bigger than Chelsea?
I genuinely believe, defenders aside, Everton are honestly the worst run club in the league. And that's not.
I don't like Everton. I want Sean Dyche to get relegated. I don't want to see Sean Dyche in the league. That's right.
I mean, if Everton get relegated, I'd be very happy. I hope so. I hope we relegate.
With all due respect. But my point about Chelsea, for the money you spend and the global fan base of your club, I think you should be run much, much better. So relatively speaking, I think Chelsea are the worst run club, relatively speaking, to where the club should be. Because I don't consider Spurs, with all due respect to Spurs, a top 6 club. I think there's only top 5 clubs in England. That is excluding Spurs. I think Spurs are there because what Terry said, because of the revenue and the good stadium.
And Spurs are not relevant enough.
Yeah, in reality,
Spurs shouldn't be a top 6 club. Like,
well, I think, do you know what it is? I do. A lot of people kind of call out the top 6 thing because it used to be the traditional top 4 and whatever else. And I do believe, again, when you look over the last 20 years and you look at teams that have finished in the top 6, those 6 have been the regular guys in it. Okay, they're there, and I do think, but the revenue plays a part. And I do think that the revenue plays a part because Spurs should be a better football team than they are based on how much money they make. They should be. And there was a stat that got put up the other day, and it was a dig at Ten Hag with how much money's been spent since he's been there. It's like 500 odd million. And absolutely, there was criticism for the club and the manager. But sitting below him, only like 30 million less has been what Spurs have spent at that same time. Yeah. But you get not Spurs fans, because a lot of Spurs fans like Kate and Henry and George and Josh, they all know their club. They don't moan about not spending. They moan about how it's spent. And there's always been that. Very rarely do I see Spurs fans complain. Like, You know, a lot of rival fans that go, well, how can you hate the Glazers? They spent all that money. Spurs fans never said that, because Spurs fans related and understood that it isn't about how much you spend. It's the strategy of the football club, who you
Spurs
spend
always
it on.
spent dumb money.
Oh, it's crazy.
Richarlison,
It's crazy.
Bergval this summer. What's his name? Archie Gray. I mean, just for that, Mo, I know you don't like Chiesa, but as an example, 13 million euros for Chiesa, it's better than Richarlison and Brennan Johnson and these guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even they, I think they're worse run than us, to be honest with you.
The thing is, someone here, this is a good point. Sort of calling out my thing about Spurs being worse run than Chelsea. And it sort of says 616 million in 2 years, Terry. Spurs spent that. No, Spurs have spent about a third or so less. However, Chelsea are trying to be successful, in my opinion. And this is the thing, a team that is trying to be successful. We're talking about clubs that haven't been run great in the last 3 or 4 years. So we're not talking about the best run clubs in England. But I would still rather my club try to be successful in its spending and
I agree.
Then sort of spend your money. But when you know from the first instance, no one's buying Brennan Johnson and Richarlison to win Premier Leagues. No one's doing it. They're wasting your money. I also used to look at the way the Glazers spent money a lot of the time and go, every now and then they would sort of, between the new guy running the club and the new manager, you think, okay, we're a bit more serious now. But actually, with hindsight, you'd look back and go, actually, spending that money on Cavani on the last day of the window, we weren't trying to win the league. Like hijacking City at the last minute for Alexis Sanchez, he says no, so we double the wages. That wasn't trying to win the league. That was trying to point score. That was trying to sell shirts. That was trying to generate commercial revenue. And I don't think the Glazers and the owners of Manchester City, the owners of Spurs are totally different. The only difference between the two is that Levy and Co didn't buy the club with huge debt and labor on us. If the rules were different and the Glazers bought us outright, I don't think the way the two clubs have been run would have been any different. I really don't believe. I believe they're very, very similar in that regard. The only good thing Spurs fans have got out of it, they have got an amazing. I mean, it is ridiculously good, an amazing new stadium. But and again, a lot of Spurs fans.
It's amazing.
Sorry.
It's amazing.
Oh, it is. I've been there. It's phenomenal.
Nothing to show for it.
But that's the sad bit. That's the.
Yeah, but that's why I'm agreeing with you. That's why I'm saying Chelsea aren't the worst run club in the league.
No, I agree.
What Spurs do, because whoever is spending, you know how like Mo said, there's 2 people doing transfers for Chelsea, one smart, one really dumb. With Spurs, there is no smart. It's just really.
Can I ask a question, Osam?
What did
Chelsea want? What did Chelsea need this season? What did Chelsea need the most in this transfer window, Osam?
A striker.
What did Spurs need mostly in this transfer window?
Spurs needed like 5-6 players.
No. Seriously, what is the most needed position for Spurs this window?
I genuinely don't think they have a most needed position. They need to rejuvenate the whole team.
You know that they have a Richarlison and they need a striker. One bought one of the best strikers in the league.
I disagree with you.
One didn't.
I disagree with you completely because Son is their striker.
But having said that,
down the middle.
I even think I get your point there, but this is the thing. Saying their worst run, I don't think we can boil it down to one particular example.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Solanke's a better number 9 than any of Chelsea's number 9s, and they maybe should have bought him. I couldn't agree more with you on that. But I think when you look over the last 3 years and compare both clubs, which one has got closer to, even though Chelsea, for their standards, have been in the mud, who's got closest to winning trophies? And if you were to put I know you probably don't bet because it's haram, and I respect that. But if it was not against your religion and you could put a bet on, hand on heart, or you were going to make a prediction hand on heart, that's a better way of doing it. Prediction hand on heart. Who would you bet on the next of those two, Chelsea or Spurs, to win a trophy?
It's Chelsea, because Spurs are
there we go. Like,
no, but because the club is weird, bro. It's strange, bro. They are very strange. I don't understand what is the problem. Chelsea have the better manager, better center backs, better probably they're better striker. Son is better than all Chelsea wingers. But they still won't win a trophy, bro. Chelsea won a trophy before them.
Mo, this further shows why they're a worse run club. I'll tell you, over the last 3 years, right? You look at Spurs' transfers. Richarlison, Brennan Johnson, Yves Bissouma, Mickey Van de Ven, Emerson Royal, Jed Spence, You could go down the list. Like, if you see the players that Spurs have signed over the last 3-year period, there's probably about 20 players. The one that you can say hand on heart actually did well is probably Van de Ven. You could probably say Madison to an extent, 50-50. But the rest have either had like patches or have not lived up to the hype or been crap. £50 million was paid for Brennan Johnson. 50 million. 60 million Dominic Solanke. 30 million Bergvall. 30 million. You know, for 30 million, you could have, for half of that, you could have gotten Manu Kone.
I bet half the shed don't even know who that guy is. But
exactly. And 25 million Archie Gray. Now, if you're in Spurs' place on a reel, you take that. Say, I as Hussam, and I'm not a football savant that watches every single league, but I think you give me that transfer budget, and I would have done a better job for Spurs. Chiesa is a better signing. Manu Kone is a better signing. I can name you transfers right now for 10, 15, 20 million more that would have made Spurs exponentially better at a much cheaper price. But Spurs continue to be stupid in the transfer. You know, they paid 60 million for Richarlison. 60.
Yeah, but I have to be honest here. Richarlison, I had an opinion on him. He's one of the worst number 9s in the world when he was at Everton. But a lot of clubs wanted Richarlison. By the way, everyone wanted Richarlison. And you know that. Don't be disingenuous here. Everyone wanted Richarlison, Brazil number 9.
No, I didn't.
But anyway, we're really arguing. Who's better.
Yeah. No, I know. We're talking
about horrendous, to be honest, because we're forgetting Manchester United. But fine.
Well, in fairness, I would say that up until the new owners have come in, I would very biasly put us at number 1, and that's because obviously emotionally means
you were definitely number 1, bro.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think so. But who and what we were, for me, I won't put us into that category and that conversation for a little while, because I'm going to let the people that are now running the club have a little bit of time to make their mistakes, get things right, and then I'll reassess it. And that, again, that is me being really biased and saying, well, I'm not putting us in there now because it's under new management at the end of the day. Do you know what I'm saying? So